Hello?
What's up, girl? What happened after Tony dumped you?
Girl, I'm over it. I went from heartbreak to hate.
Boy, Joy.
What up, Bob?
Oreo.
Yeah, I didn't know that there was a lot going on in cookie news.
Yeah.
Do you want to tell the people?
Yeah, if you guys aren't sure of the world or aren't into gay TikTok, because I'm sure there's not commercials. Maybe there's commercials. I don't know. Lady Gaga has released a Chromatica version of Oreos. And I'm just going to say, I know you're all gagged and dead from it. And that's the lead in to our conversation.
Yay! That was very smooth. I appreciate what you did there.
All right. What are we talking about?
We're talking about death. Oh, isn't that a nice? We should have made a death sound. We didn't think about that. Okay, that works too. On the fly.
And we are saying death.
Absolutely. We're
not like Def Comedy Jam.
Oh,
this is not.
You know what?
This is not a '90s comedy edition of the show. Even though we did love that show.
We did, but we're talking about death because, I mean, it's time that we all grew up and stopped being so afraid to talk about it, afraid to realize that it's going to happen.
Right.
And there's options out there. There's more options than you think of, and that's kind of what started this.
Right.
It's all HBO's fault. And I watched a documentary talking about unusual ways to, to die, to how you get buried, not alternatives to burial, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, hey, let's talk about death.
Let's talk about it. Because, I mean, obviously there's more serious conversations and more serious podcasts about handling death that you could probably listen to.
Absolutely.
So I'm not going to say we're going to give you a soothing, coaxing final moments in your life.
No.
But so don't put this episode on if you're dying. But maybe. I mean, maybe it's informational.
We'll be somewhat respectful, but I mean, we're also going to be. I mean, this is the thing. Like, it's gonna happen, and I think most people approach it very almost like those we don't speak of. You know what I mean? And like it's very almost reverential, but also I can't say that word. But also
Thank
very scary.
The world that Joy said something wrong for once. But anyway.
But very scary, and I mean, I just think we need to get past that. I want to help us heal. Okay, people, that's what we're doing.
Yeah, the thing is, we're both very pragmatic about death, and we don't really fear it as a lot of people do. Right. We know that it's going to happen, and we both feel. I mean, I know I'm speaking for you, but we've both said it.
We've talked about it, yeah.
We don't want to live another 50 years.
No.
We don't want to. We're already curmudgeoned as much as we possibly could be as people.
Yes.
We're very. Everything's angry. I was making fun of a woman's baby because she cut me off in traffic and she had her child's footprints on the window, and I was reading her baby for filth. Princess.
Right.
Was on board, and I was reading Princess for filth.
There was an old lady at the library that was just cussing me out with her eyes because I was in her space and I was inside. I was calling her a mangy asshole right underneath my mask. I didn't give a fuck if she was 70. I don't care.
No. And that's the thing. So we're to the point of hate.
Right.
That we can't go backwards.
Can't go back. It only gets worse.
No. And the dam's already burst. The tiny town that built right next to the dam, knowing that one day the dam would burst. We're San Francisco. We know the earthquake's going to happen again. We can only prepare for it. So what we're saying is we're very comfortable with talking about death because we know it's going to happen, and we've both lived through death situations.
Yeah.
And so we're just trying to give you information on especially the different types of burials that they are. Do you want to talk about your death wishes? Ooh, I like
yeah.
Death wish.
Yeah, so I think I do because this is a good discussion before we get into all the unusual methods.
Right.
Like everybody knows the main two. One, you get put in a casket, put you in the ground, or two, you get cremated. And people are still out in these streets acting like cremation is brand new, like they just developed it in the last 25 years, right?
Like we didn't burn people on pyres.
Right.
I mean, I know that Irish English people, that was a way to deal with the death, was just to set them on a bonfire. Like that's because you didn't want the body to come back as a ghost, and that's a good way to make, if the entire body's gone. I don't know if anybody knows this. Go back to ghost fucking and listen. But if there's still a piece of the body remaining, they can haunt you.
It's always back to ghost fucking with you.
It is.
But I would say that especially in the Black community, most people my age and older want to be buried.
Right.
Especially, my parents' generation and older. There is no option other than being buried. And we're running out of space, kids. We're not only running out of space, the real truth of the fact of the matter is, and you know me, I've buried 2 parents, I've had 2 miscarriages. Like, death is death, okay?
Yes.
It's just a thing. So, burying somebody is expensive as fuck.
Mm-hmm.
And for what? Like, nobody really thinks, whether you're atheist, agnostic, any religious belief, nobody thinks you're still in the shell. So why are we treating the shell all special and, gussying up, putting it in this casket to take us back? For why? For why?
Right, because even if you are, Christian, you believe that the soul leaves the body.
Absolutely.
The vessel is just a vessel until you go to heaven. A lot of people believe that, and a lot of cults believe the similar situations or similar processes. So, as you're saying, the house is vacant.
Mm-hmm.
It's been vacant for years. Like, why not burn it down?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, I am a big, I do believe in honoring people's wishes, right?
Right.
Both my parents wanted to be buried. That's their generation. They're both buried. But for me, my instructions, because I have left instructions, because what if I get hit by a bus or whatever? You have to say it that way because people can't accept that life could just happen.
Right.
At any age. But no, I've left instructions that basically say, burn the house down, find the cheapest, don't let them talk you into getting one of them fancy urns neither, because what are you going to keep ashes? What you going to do with that?
Yeah, that's a whole thing. Understanding that, I mean, I guess we should have, I could have done some research since you did a lot of research on this. I was just like, death, got it, I can do it. But
like, go.
I'm like, and I've been waiting to talk for this all my life. But in America, we make anything a capitalist gain.
Yes.
And I know we talked about before, a guy runs a funeral home, asked me to do like art for that funeral home, and he was going to use that as a way to sell something to someone who was grieving. And initially I was like, yeah, I can try it, but then I was like, I don't want to be upcharge on a funeral expense. And so everything, I mean, even if you do get cremated, they try to upsell you on the box you're put in.
Yes.
For cremation. Do you want pine? Do you want just cardboard box? Like, they actually have levels to the boxes, which is like, does my ashes need to smell like pine?
Not at all.
Because they should smell like ash. I mean, and it's not all you either. That's a whole nother topic.
Right.
Like there's additives and stuff like that too. So yes.
So do you want to go into your plans before we go into unusual methods?
So my plans, because my family love you, but you all have a tendency to go against anybody's wishes. And I would like to be donated to science, but I don't feel that that's going to happen. So as the backup plan, ashes for days, and there's not a single place on earth that I give 2 shits about that I want them to be placed.
Yeah.
So if you want to keep them, you keep them. but I need you to pay for that out of your own money, not the money that I've set aside.
Wow, okay.
Like, you can take it out of the chunk that's left to you, whatever. But all I'm saying is, do not put me in something gold because I'm white, and it needs to be silver at least.
You are such a mess.
But, yeah, I don't care. Like, I don't care. Like, I'm not going to haunt anybody. If I'm going to haunt somebody, I'm going to be a fun ghost or a vengeful spirit, and I'm just going to go to wherever I need to do vengeance, which there are a lot of spots around the world, and just do that. So don't worry about me. I'm out there doing my thing. I'm going to do my thing in real life. I'm going to do it in death life. So just know that it doesn't matter to me what happens to the rest of me.
Right.
But I don't want to be buried.
No.
Not even ash buried. I don't like that either.
That doesn't make any sense. I mean, I guess the idea is that you take up less space, but just why? Why are we burying ashes? Why is that even an option? Some options shouldn't be an option.
Right.
But like you said, it's the capitalism of it all.
And it's capitalism. And I understand, obviously, people view tombstones as a representation of a human being. But, bitch, I'm pretty. And I want you to remember me as a pretty motherfucker, not as a piece of slate or whatever, whatever. I'm sure they're not made out of concrete marble, whatever tombstones are made out of these days. Right. I don't want that either. I don't need to be marked anywhere. I don't need to, like, years from now, people who need to know who I am will know who I am. People who, things that I did in my life should be celebrated. That's it. I don't need to be somewhere where you can put flowers or worry about cleaning me. I don't want to be in a coma, and I don't want to be in a tombstone. Like, I don't want to be taken care of by somebody else. I don't want ever to be that burden on somebody.
Because that's the real truth of burial that I think that a lot of people, I would say older people especially, also don't want to acknowledge, which is this idea of, like, I don't know if they actually think people are coming to visit them all the time, because I know, like, older generations, more of our grandparents,
right?
That's like, that is their gig, right? Like, if a husband's buried, you go once a month or whatever it is. But younger people, that's not a thing. Like, my mom's been dead. It'll be, 18 years? 18 years that coming up here in March, and 17 years. And she, like, I've been to the site, and it's basically in town. I think I've been a total of 5 times.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, because it's not any better. It doesn't help me think about her more. You know what I mean? Like,
you think about her all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying you talk about your mom all the time like it's a problem, but you do bring your mom up and you speak about her in conversations. Same with your father. I know your father is obviously a lot sooner, but, like, we speak of people who have died in a non-negative way or even in a negative way. So, like, the thing of it is like, the memory is not gone. And even if you got old enough to lose the memory, you're not going to remember how to get back. That's the thing. I mean, we put so much focus as humans on our memories and what we've done in the past, and we lose focus on future and what we want to do. And I feel like a lot of people get stuck in that. This was amazing. I was amazing. At this time, at 18, I was the best, quarterback, and blah, 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 blah. I don't have that anymore. Like, that's not who you are. Yeah. That's only a small chunk of your life. It's a small, in the book of your life, it is a very small chapter. And we put so much focus on that. We put so much focus on who people are to us. And we don't understand. I mean, yeah, let's talk about something else. Because I want us to a very personal rant, and I don't think people in the world are ready for that. So.
Okay, no problems. So, some of the ways that you may not have considered handling your remains that you can. This is what I think is one of the coolest that I want to start with, is becoming part of a coral reef.
Oh.
So it's like one of the newer green burial options.
Okay.
Green is where it's at. But so again, you would have to get cremated, because it takes your cremains, mix them into the concrete, and it's like this dome-like structure. Because if you haven't seen it, it's hard to describe, right? But it's like a dome-like structure with holes in it, and they place it into the ocean in areas where reefs are, and it kind of helps rebuild and heal, and it lasts, for years and years and years. And you're helping out the sea life.
Which is a great point.
Mm-hmm.
And I know you're going to bring up another point later and similarly, but, where's it at? Where's the right one? So we're dust. Even internally, even currently as we exist.
Mm-hmm.
We are all particles from space, millions of years and this is not science fiction, this is not crazy talk, but every level, every part of your body that became this magical combustion that created human beings, like it had to be perfect. All those minerals, all those, trace metals and stuff like that had to create this. They're all outer space. They're all from meteorites, the Big Bang, planets forming, all that. So why not continue and be part of the Earth?
Mm-hmm.
Like, and especially in the coral reef situation where we all know because, well, we might all know, but the younger generation is probably fully aware, but they talked about it a lot in the 80s and 90s, the coral reefs.
Yeah.
Like the reef issues and the manatees and all the situation in the ocean that was depleting before we even really started talking about icebergs melting. So like that was a whole thing back then too. So why not be part of that? Why not just be the Earth?
Absolutely. Which, speaking of being the Earth, you could essentially be a tree.
Like a pine? I'm an evergreen.
You probably can. For the right amount of dollars, you could probably be whatever fucking tree you want to be. But more importantly, so there's multiple ways to do this, but the one that I found out is it's actually called Capsula Mundi, which I'm probably slaughtering. It's Italian. But you bury your remains in these giant seed pods. And then, obviously it's put into the ground and you kind of help a plant grow above you.
Okay.
Isn't that, awesome? So you're taking up space, but really not, because you're helping this new life form.
You're creating new life and oxygen for Earth.
Hello.
We need that. We need all the oxygen we can get.
Absolutely.
We're only getting like 35% of what we need. So, yeah, we need more oxygen.
Mm-hmm.
Dead people, if you're listening, become trees.
Become trees.
Because realistically, the caskets and the tombs that were put into, or I don't know if they still do the concrete around them anymore, but if they weren't there, we would be creating.
Right. If it was like the olden days,
like the small boxes or whatever, like you really could have an apple tree growing up from your torso.
And now that's something that I didn't okay, maybe not the apple tree part, but that's something that I researched recently. But I do remember hearing about it years ago that there was trying to be a return to minimal burial, where you're really kind of just wrapped maybe in a cloth or something and put in the ground. Yeah. There's a lot of problems, and it's probably not available everywhere that you are, because you would have to get special permits for all that, because, laws for money.
Right.
Don't get me started. But you can now. We're not going to talk about this one long, because some people might be grossed out. But there's actually something called human composting. So this involves being freeze dried and then immersed in liquid nitrogen.
Ooh, like Han Solo.
To then turn you into a powder, and it leaves behind a compost.
Okay.
Yeah, which decomposes naturally in a shallow grave.
See, that's not as gross as what I was thinking in my head before you even start talking about that.
Yes.
Was okay, we all know plastic is horrible. It's not biodegradable. It takes years to break down. Mm-hmm. Why aren't we wrapping dead people in that instead of a casket?
I don't know.
I mean, I understand because I took forensic science. It's the 3rd level science class. Anyway, that there would be heat and there would be things. You become a puddle.
Unpleasant. Yes.
But essentially, your skeleton would still remain,
Right.
and you're doing something with plastic bags. I mean, I've been saving a lot of plastic bags.
You know what? I think you're talking everybody out of this even becoming a thing.
Okay.
The more that you mention it.
I mean,
but
people out there that know, look it up, figure it out, do it.
okay. One of the coolest methods, although I kind of think it's a little extra. I don't know if it's really necessary. But let's say you just really loved your loved one, or you yourself think you're a rock star. This would be perfect for Bob.
Oh, yeah. Funny. It's been a year since my EP came out. Thanks for remembering. Anyway.
Space burial.
Mm-hmm.
It's a fucking thing, kids. So, you get cremated, and then they put you in a special canister, and you can have a rocket shot into space and leave your remains there. You'll orbit the Earth for about 2 years. Look at that. And then loved ones can track your movements within it. Okay. So
Okay.
I don't know. I mean,
All right.
that feels like a lot.
It is. I mean, everyone's
Feels-
into astrology now. I
feels
say
extra.
astrology because it's getting on my ass. I'm tired of people talking about it. So yeah, like you're like, oh, like Bob's aligned with Pisces tonight, or Bob's aligned with Venus this weekend. We got to get out there and check it out. I feel like a lot of people who love and adore me, all two people, would really get into tracking me in space.
Space burials.
Yeah, my nephew would love it. He would love it because he's all about space. So he would probably be on board, especially if there's an app involved. He'd be down for it.
Yeah. And then, not unusual, but I do feel like we should go back to talking again about something that you mentioned, which is your first wish, which is to be donated to science.
Exactly.
Because I think that's something that people don't think of often enough. And I do know that a lot of people have the aversion, if you even mention it, because it's like, oh no, what are they going to do with me? Okay, 2 things. Did we not just say you won't be here?
Right.
Like, you will not be aware.
Right.
And why would you not want to help? Hit the button.
Science?
Yeah.
What the why?
Oh, that too.
I don't think that's the second one.
We haven't used a lot of sound effects in the last couple episodes, so I feel like we need to step up our games.
I got you. But yeah, like,
Mhm.
you're doing a good thing while also not taking up extra space.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I haven't really looked into being donated. I don't know if after they are done, you have to be cremated, or
Yeah,
do you know?
I think it's cremation because, they might be injecting nuclear bullshit into you, but who
Mhm.
cares, right? You're green, you're the Hulk.
Right. And if
you live in
you're
2
in the cost
dreams.
savings, I would imagine at that point that's on them.
Yeah, and I've also enjoyed the thought of the body farm, which is a donation to science in which they take your body and place it on a farm, and like they're gonna sit you in the sun for 2 hours or 4 hours or 24 hours, whatever. Put you next to water, put you next to dry stuff. Basically, it helps forensic science to find out when how bodies decompose near
Oh, okay.
in water, and so it's an ongoing thing. But yeah, the body farm is definitely an interesting. It's been around since forensic science started, but like, why not solve a crime? If you've liked Law and Order your entire life, I feel like this is a perfect transition to your afterlife.
If you're saying like you watched Law and Order, the first 48.
Any of those shows, even Bones, even those shows that you've watched 100 times as on TNT or whatever, but like, why not just become a Cosby mystery? I'm sorry, not him, Matlock.
Okay. Right. Why not?
Maybe there'll be some crazy new forensic science study that's named after you,
Ooh.
like the Joy Brownridge theory.
Uh-oh. Now see, I can get into that.
I think you need to use that.
I
and,
know.
like,
Yeah.
create your own podcast, the Joy Brownridge theory, or something like that. Whatever. But yeah, I'm like, because also that's really fucking useful
Mm-hmm.
in any scientific aspect, not just the body farm, but any scientific aspect, because people really don't know a lot about the brain still. There's still parts of the body that are kind of a mystery. And so...
Or if you are from, an underrepresented group in some way, they probably don't have a lot of people that are donated from there, also known as somebody who's not white. And if you develop, a certain disease and that, your passing is coming sooner than later. I mean, all these things, everybody wants to make a difference in life, right? And this is one way that you truly can. Yes, it's in death, but you're still making a difference.
You're still making a difference. So, that's the whole thing. Like, most people, I guess, don't get that they died in vain moment because we're not in those times where we fight wars with swords. But like, if you want to matter, and you don't matter, relatively speaking, the best thing you can do is think you're amazing, but understand that you're nobody, because that's the best way to think about your life. But like, you would matter to somebody, and also organ donation.
Yes, obviously.
Obviously, like that's the thing. Is like, I feel people still have to have conversations about. Oh, I need to talk to my husband. Why? Why Bernice? I don't know where that name came from. But like, sorry to any Bernices that are listening. Why?
Yeah. I think the one unfortunate thing I think about organ donation is there's such like, it has to be like the right set of circumstances for it to work out, right? But you would hope that when those circumstances occur, like when something happens and you happen to be at the hospital and find out, that all those people would be organ donors.
Yeah. So I mean, and the thing it is like, you could be like, some people are like, well, I've drank my whole life, so my liver is shit. Well, that doesn't necessarily mean it can't give somebody a second chance. Oh, I had kidney stones. Nobody wants my kidneys. No. Like, that's still...
There's lots of things.
There's lots of things that people could do with a shit organ. So
or
donate
just not that organ. What I'm saying, like, yeah, there's like so many different...
Eyes. I mean, they're working on that. I mean, there's all kinds of things that they're working on, and like hands and fingers, and I don't know if those are all real realities.
Clearly, we haven't vetted the science on that.
No, but that's I watch a lot of movies.
But we do know that they can take multiple organs, quite a few. I mean, I think that sometimes they can even use skin. It depends.
Yeah.
So.
And that's a whole other thing. Let them take your body and grow ears and learn how to grow new body parts. Save a rat. I mean, save some animals. If you really care about the animals, you'll donate your fucking body to science, bro. Like, if you really care, you'll donate your body to a makeup company and they can spray hairspray in your eyes, and then they can just test on your body instead of those poor little puppies.
Wow, I didn't realize that we were going to bully people into choices at the end of this.
Hi, JK.
We've turned a corner, ladies and gentlemen.
We've turned a corner, and we're almost done. So let's... I guess let's wrap... I'm getting the signal to wrap it up. Giving myself the signal.
The Dave Chappelle show. But yeah, I mean, really, we just want people to not be afraid to think of it, not be afraid to plan for it, to let people know what the plan is. Because when people are grieving, like the best thing you can do for people that are going to be left behind is have a plan so that they don't have to try and figure out what you would want while they're grieving.
I mean, if you really know that you want to be, buried, and then you want to have a big party at your local Legion, go down to your local Legion and go ahead and fucking pay for that party. Like, say, hey, it's not, I don't know what's going to happen, but so-and-so, I don't want so-and-so to pay for it. I don't know if you have to pay for the Legion, but whatever, you know what I'm saying.
Right.
Like, if you're going to rent out a bar for your party, your after-death party, go ahead and pay for it. Like, let people focus on grieving if that's what they're really going to do, because that's... I hate to use the word burden, but it is very much a conversation. Then if you have multiple children, your children are fighting because they want to do this, they want to do that, they want to play this song, they want to play that song.
Right.
They, they play Diana Ross instead of Donna Summer. Hey, Grandpa, I love you. Like, that kind of thing. Like, there's all kinds of things that you could just be like, boom, here's a Post-it note.
Right.
That's been laminated.
I mean, it's 2021. Here's an email she sent.
Yes. Save it.
Yes.
Like, and that's the thing is, like, I don't know, like, so many ways to, like, communicate that today, and just make a Facebook post, because at least once a year your memory is going to pop up, and you're going to remember to repost that every single year. That these are my wishes, and if your wishes have changed, say, I mean, I used to want a funeral, and I used to want Phil Collins's songs played at my funeral. I don't want any of that. Nothing against Phil Collins.
Okay.
But I don't want any of that. Whatever. Listen to Phil Collins after I die. He'll love you for it.